you sleepy puppy? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Melanie and I am super jazzed to be here as always. Today we are going to be talking about the Sagittarius full moon and how to work with the full moon energy in association with the Sagittarius archetype. Before we get into it, I do want to let you know that I'm not going to be touching on any of the transiting planets. I'm just going to be covering how to use the full moon energy and work with the different aspects of the Sagittarius archetype. If you are looking for more information on the Sagittarius archetype, I'll link to my Sagittarius new moon video where I cover the exact same things but in association with the new moon instead of the full moon. Sagittarius's element is fire, its modality is mutable, its glyph or the image that it's represented by is the centaur, half horse, half man. It is at home in the 9th house and its planetary ruler is Jupiter. I really do love talking about the Sagittarius archetype. I have many close friends who have a lot of Sagittarius placements. It is a very lively, creative, passionate, and engaging sign, and this really is that fire element aspect. That, in combination with being ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius people or the archetype itself is very lucky, full of energy, full of life, and they kind of have this horseshoe up their butts energy. They are always willing and excited to experience new things, and they don't subsequently have a lot of fear around change. This also kind of brings in the mutable modality of Sagittarius. It is very quick on its feet and very adaptable. They also change how they express their feelings and thoughts to fit different situations. So many Sagittarius people or people who have a lot of the Sagittarius energy in their charts can fit and change their language or their expressions to better suit the situation that they're in. The adaptable chameleons. This is also why they do so good in foreign travel and adventuring, because they are so adaptable and mutable and they can really change on the fly, going to foreign countries and having to immerse themselves in different cultures, and all of those things are viewed as fun and engaging and chances for learning new skills and expanding their horizons, and there's not a lot of fear around those adventures, especially if you compare it to something like the more traditional earth signs that are more stable, more predictable. Sagittarius has that wild child, expansive Jupiter, all-encompassing energy. It's the adventurer in us all, and this is both in the physical travel sense, but it also brings in and ties in other aspects of the 9th house, like philosophical pursuits, higher education, religion, and really pushing the boundaries and exploring not only in the physical world, but in the emotional and in the mental, and really expanding in every area that they're passionate and interested about, which in this case Sagittarius do have a lot of interests and passions, and they are quite diverse in the fields in which they feel the need to dive into. As always with my full moon videos, I want to give you an opportunity to take 5 minutes and write down the correspondences and the associations, the emotional thoughts, triggers, the past stories that come up for you when you think about these traits and the different aspects of the Sagittarius archetype. I say this every time I do a full moon video, but I think it's really important that we hold space for our own interpretations before we seek answers or to be told how to utilize something or what something means. We're often caught up in trying to find the right answer that we don't listen to our own intuition, or we don't give ourselves the space to develop our own opinions around something that we might have more insight to than we initially thought. So take these 5 minutes before I talk to you about some of the correspondences and associations for the Sagittarius full moon, and I will see you back here to cover all of those, as well as to dive into some of my ideas around rituals and ways to use this Sagittarius full moon. you've not worked with the full moon energy or an archetype before, it is the culmination point in the lunar cycle. The lunar cycle starts and ends with a new moon, and its culmination point is the full moon. So you plant seeds on the new moon, and your intentions, your goals, your mindsets, your pursuits in life will continuously reach a culminating point, which is the full moon, before they begin to taper off again. I often compare it to the cycle of a plant. It starts as a seed, and then the full moon is the flowering phase. This is where you can see the fruits of all of your labors. You can see if your goals and your intentions that you set on the new moon are working out the way that you had originally intended, or if it's a time for correction and recalibration. So when you are creating a ritual with the Sagittarius archetype on the full moon, I would suggest to pinpoint and narrow down what aspect of the full moon energy and archetype you're wanting to work with before you start to shape a ritual around it and with it. So are you using the celebratory aspects of the full moon energy? Are you using its protection or banishing attributes? Is this a reevaluation, self-reflection time using the light of the full moon in the sky? I would suggest nailing that down and then looking at how Sagittarius and the archetypes, traits, and strengths, as well as weaknesses, play into what you're wanting to design this ritual around. And you can start to really get a dynamic, multi-level, and really intention-infused and charged ritual. So let's talk correspondences and associations that you can use to call in the Sagittarius archetype. First up, crystals. Malachite, smoky quartz, apophyllite. I can never say that one right, so I'll write it up here. A few herbs would be lemon balm, lavender, calendula, burdock root, and my personal favorite would be dandelion. The tarot card associated with Sagittarius would be temperance. When I first discovered this, I found it quite confusing because I don't feel like temperance is a trait or quality that is well represented by the Sagittarius archetype, but that really is the magic behind that association. To tame the wild child that is the Sagittarius archetype, you need to call in the traits of temperance. To temper something is actually a culinary term, and you can see it on the tarot card where the angel is transferring water to and in between two different chalices. This is the act of tempering something in cooking. So that's the literal definition and term and origin behind that tarot card. If you've not worked with the temperance card before, I would bring it in to your ritual space or your intention setting or your awareness during this Sagittarius full moon, simply to help balance out some of the more chaotic, more sporadic, and more sometimes undesirable chaos that can come with that expansive drive to learn and experience new things. Temperance can be a very important tool when you're trying to get some practical things done in your life, not only run around to the seven wonders of the world. So the Sagittarius archetype is associated with your lower back, your hips, and your thighs, all areas that are highly involved in movement. And it makes me think of the representation of the centaur for Sagittarius, the lower half being a horse and the upper half being a man. There is not only two hips, there is 4 hip joints, 4 thighs, 4 legs, 4 horsepower, speed, and moving us forward. So the emphasis on movement, the expansion, and the travel is driven home again in the centaur representation, but also in the body parts that are associated with Sagittarius. Colors that are associated with Sagittarius are red, orange, purple, and blue. This ties in things like the fire element that Sagittarius is, as well as the intellectual higher pursuits. The blue and the purple start to trigger things like the third eye chakra and bring in those types of associations. The spiritual philosophy, higher education, the expansion of the mind. So especially when you start to look at the chakra systems, which we'll touch on right now because we're here, the sacral chakra or the third eye chakra are the associations with Sagittarius, and those tie in with those color correspondences as well. A lot of it is to do with that creative drive to engage and to experience the world, the sacral chakra, the union, the back and forth involvement in life and in experiencing life and in understanding it, as well as on the physical level, which is more of the sacral, which is more of the actual everyday, like tangible 3D, but as well in the third eye chakra area, the expansive mind pursuits, the understanding of larger truths, the seeking of larger truths, and those tie into the color correspondences as well. So the chakra associations are the third eye and the sacral chakra. So gods associated with the Sagittarius archetype would be Jupiter, the planetary ruler of Sagittarius, god of the sky and thunder, or Zeus, god of the sky and thunder. On to the ritual suggestions. I know we are flying through this, guys, but to be honest, it's late. With the Sagittarius archetype being so geared towards expansion and knowledge and learning and moving forward, it's kind of got that perpetual forward motion, and the fact that the full moon is very illuminating and a great time for reflection because it is lighting up the night sky. We are seeing into our subconscious, and we have a lot more visibility around things that were once a lot darker or hidden from us. Visualization, meditation, dreaming, getting clear on what we might want, what the future is that we're moving towards, and kind of starting to get in that fun planning phase. Sagittarius is full of imagination, passion, and drive. They don't necessarily always know exactly where they're going, but the archetype has a lot of get up and go power behind it. And it's a great time, especially with the illumination that the full moon provides, to really start to get specific on our visualizations and to hone in on different attributes that we want in the futures and things that we might not want in our futures. So this can be really fun. This can be planning potential trips that you don't know if and when you're going to take, but really getting into the hows and the nitty gritties and seeing it through to fruition in your head, right? Starting at point A and ending up at point B and really getting into the dreaming phase, whether it's a project or traveling or potential studies that you're looking at. It's a great time to lose yourself in the romantic potentials of your life. Like I mentioned earlier, the body parts associated with Sagittarius are your hips and your thighs, and this has a lot to do with the movement that Sagittarius brings into the sky when it's at play, especially with this celebratory culmination energy that the full moon provides. It is a great time to incorporate dance and different forms of movement into your rituals. Whether you do a portion of your ritual hiking or you get into some somatic and ecstatic dance, really getting your body involved and moving that fiery, expansive, creative, and energetic, passionate expression, letting it out, letting it flow, really allowing these energies to take you and to move you physically, like very literally move you. Shake ya booty, go on a run, get the blood pumping, otherwise known as active forms of meditation. Indulge yourself. And what I mean by that is so often we are told to temper ourselves or to tone back our sometimes eccentric and maybe sometimes considered flighty dreams. But I also know that it's the best advice I could give you would to be follow the things that light you up in life. So if there's been a topic that you have been skirting around and you haven't 100% been sure if it's something you want to spend some time and effort into learning more about, or a course you're not sure that you want to take, or a hobby you don't know if it's really worth starting because you don't know if you're going to be good at it, the Sagittarius full moon pushes and urges you to indulge yourself. Pick one of those passions that you're not too sure if you're going to be good at and try it out. This is the time to try some new, adventurous, and more often than not creative endeavors that you have previously thought were outside your capacity or something that you just didn't do. The Sagittarius full moon is a beautiful opportunity to jump both feet in and allow yourself to play. If you're wanting to do something a little bit more self-reflective during the full moon ritual, which I know a lot of people do, looking back on their weeks or their previous lunar phase that has led up to this full moon, then I would suggest looking at the things that you have learned or gained, the experiences that you have cultivated, the people you've met, the conversations you've had, making a list of how far you have come in specific areas of your life or on projects or with specific goals can be really helpful when this Sagittarius energy might not feel like it's been released in a while. If you're at a phase in life where you feel like you've been stuck or restricted, whether that's due to current laws or the way the world has been, or if it's a financial restriction and you haven't been able to travel or see the people you're wanting to see, making sure that you remember and find the value in expansion of your mind or an expansion of specific pursuits in your life. And it's not always the glamorous travel pursuits, right? So to me, creating a list of things that you have learned or accomplished can really provide that awareness to how good you're doing and how far you've come and how expansive you have been, even if you originally were not seeing how that was playing out in your life. And now, this isn't as much of a ritual idea as maybe a lifestyle suggestion around this time, but Sagittarius full moon is so full of playful, childlike joy, exploration, and just fun that I would really want to urge you to, if you can, play like a group sport. Go on a run, go on a hike, get outside and do something that lights up your inner child. And remember the value of play, the celebratory aspects of the full moon energy, the fiery curiosity that is the Sagittarius archetype is a prime storm for just some good chaotic play. I hope you found these correspondences and associations useful. Let me know in the comments below what you're planning on getting up to for your Sagittarius full moon ritual. Like I already mentioned, I will link to my Sagittarius new moon video in the description below if you're wanting some more information on the archetype itself. As always, I hope you have a fantastic full moon, live long and prosper, and I will see you all next time. Bye.